Hi everybody. Today I've got a short video for you on how to create your own custom codec and droplet in Compressor. So Final Cut's Compressor tool is the tool that we use in our production lab to transcode video from one file type to another. And that's what I'm showing you today, is how to create a codec and droplet so that you can transcode your video into a file format that is acceptable for submission to AOC Community Media's television station. So these settings will be universal. You can use these same settings in any tool that'll transcode video for you. This is strictly just how to set up a compressor, codec, and droplet so that you don't have to do it every time you want to transcode video. You can have it sitting there waiting for you. So let's get started. You can find Compressor in your Finder's app window, but here I just, you'll see that I take my arrow and I go up to my little search magnifying glass in my upper right, click on it, and I start to type compressor. It's the first thing that pops up after a couple of letters. Click on it and it'll open. In the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see all your built-in codecs. And we're going to use a variation of one of those to create some custom codecs. You'll see we already have some made. All our production computers at AOC have these custom codecs on them. So what you want is an MPEG-2 program stream codec, not a 422 program stream, but just a simple MPEG-2 program stream. You'll right-click on it and click duplicate. That'll put a copy of it in your custom folder. From here, you can go ahead and change all the settings of that codec, and it'll change them in that custom folder, but leave the original alone. So the first thing I normally do is change my description and my name. In this video, I don't change the name, but I do change the description. I'm going to call it new 16:9 droplet. Changing that name above the description would also change the name in the custom folder on the left. Now we can go ahead and start changing video features. So our first feature is frame size. We're going to go ahead and change that from automatic to 720 by 480. Then our frame rate to 29.97. Change our field order from same as source to bottom first. You want to make sure anamorphic is off, 4:3. Encoding mode is a little bit different. You can choose any of these encoding modes that you like. MPEG-2s are really small files that don't contain a whole lot of information. The bigger a file you are creating, the more passes I would recommend. So the more passes you have, the more times the file is being run, the more times it's being tested, the more likely you are to not have any loss of quality or anything like that. But the encode time can take as much as 3 times as long. So what we're going to do here today is choose single pass CPR, which is good enough for SD quality MPEG. We'll change our motion animation to, our motion estimation, we'll leave it best. Our GOP structure will stay as IBBP, but our GOP size will change to 15. Now you'll see that I'm not using the slider for the average bit rate. It's because we have a very specific average bit rate that's very important for you to use. It's 3.75 megabits per second. It has to be that 3.75 or the file will not import into our system. From here, you're almost done. We want to go ahead and change the cropping and padding from custom to letterbox area of source. That's going to put the letterbox around your video. Your padding, you want to preserve your aspect ratio. So you want to preserve source aspect ratio for that padding. That'll shrink your video down and put that pillar box around it, that letterbox. So once you've done this, you can leave your audio alone as long as it's set to a 48 bit rate. But now you've got you can also add audio effects, that kind of stuff from here if you want to, but that'll be put on all of your files that you run through this droplet. But now essentially you're done with the codec. You want to create the droplet now. So you go to that custom codec and right click, hit save as droplet. It'll ask you to name it and where you want to save it. So I'm going to go ahead and rename it here. (16:9) AOC droplet, and I'll just leave it to be saved on the desktop. Once it's saved, you can see in the right hand side of your screen that the 16:9 AOC droplet icon has popped up. You can double click on that and it'll open up your new droplet for you. Here you can see it. It's just a little box for you to put your file in. So you can, once you've got this droplet though, you can do a couple of things. You can go ahead and I'm going to grab a file here that we can run through it real quick. So I've got my file. I'll open up my droplet again, and I want to drag my file and drop it into that droplet. Now I can change the location that it'll save. I can either leave it as the source, which would be to put it on the desktop in this instance. If I left it at the source and it was in a folder, it would save it in that folder. But once I've done that, you'll see that file pop up in the right hand side of your screen. That file is still being transcoded, so you got to wait for it until the window changes to reflect that it is like a full video. Once it's a full video, you can double click on it and watch it, make sure it looks right to you, stick it on a USB stick, fill out your cablecast contract, and drop it off for AOC to air. And that's how you make a 16:9 compressor droplet. Thank you very much for watching.